Hey everybody, it's Carl and Brent, and we are back. But Carl, we are at a completely different place today than we were 2 weeks ago when we did a video like this, because now manuscript is completed, it is submitted, and after several all-nighters on both our parts, we've managed to catch up on sleep. And so we thought we'd catch everyone else up on the book and where we stand in the project.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and probably most exciting is we actually have a title now.
We do. By the way, can I just say though, Carl, so you heard me say from the very beginning of this project, I don't love writing books, I don't like writing books, and I may never write another book again. Tell us your thoughts on writing writing a book.
Well, a number of years ago, you and I wrote an HBR article together,
Yeah.
and after that, I think I swore I would never write anything again for the rest of my life. So
Here we
the
are.
fact that you convinced me to come along on this journey is pretty impressive. It shows your selling skills, honestly. So
It's, I mean, all joking aside, it's hard. It's a slog, right? And when you
yeah,
have, and I think the thing about this project was frustrating from the very beginning is I could kind of almost see the whole book in my head and managed to get you on board, and you made it significantly better and more structured. But it's one thing to have it in your head, it's another thing to put it on paper. And so that's been the real challenge. But I'm super, super proud. I'm just so stoked for everyone to see the book when it comes out. September 9, I believe, is the deadline, the date that we have for publication right now. If that changes, we'll let everyone know. But Carl, we have a title. And if anyone caught our little video we did a couple of weeks ago, we unveiled what we thought was going to be the title, said it may change, and within literally 30 minutes of completing that video, it did in fact change. So um, let us have it, Carl. Let's hear it.
I'm Brent. Brent. Well,
All
the
right.
frame making sale is the title we've been
Yeah.
working with for quite a while. In fact, our
Yeah.
original proposal all those months ago, I think that was the proposed title, and we
Yeah.
ended up coming back to where we started in a lot of ways.
Yeah. We went full circle. We went on a journey with that title, but the book is called The Frame Making Sale. There is a subtitle. The subtitle is Sell More by Boosting Customer Confidence. And that's the whole idea, is that what can we do as sales professionals and commercial professionals, sales, marketing, go to market, to engage customers in a different way, somewhat through digital. We talk a little bit about that in the book, but primarily through human interaction, whether it's virtual or in person. To create relationships with their customers such that customers feel more confident in themselves and their ability to make large scale decisions on behalf of their company. And if you didn't see the first one of these videos we did, we talked in the first video with a lot of data around the importance of that confidence. So customers' confidence in themselves and their ability to make large scale decisions on behalf of their company is by far the single biggest driver of what we call a high quality, low regret deal. And so this book is essentially laying out that the case for that. Why does customers' confidence in themselves matter so much? And then more importantly, what do we do about it? So tell us a little about frame making, Carl.
Yeah, I think at the core, if we think about what frame making is, it's helping customers buy better at the core. And if we think about what that means in this time where customers are struggling so much, where B2B commerce is just it's fraught by so many challenges of consensus and so many other dynamics, that we're just in a world where even when the customer is convinced your solution is the right answer, it's going to help their company. We've seen the data that it's somewhere between 40 and 60% likely that the deal still fails to go through and stalls to no decision.
It's really interesting when you take that idea and stand it on its head and start solving not so much for customers' confidence in you as the supplier, but customers' confidence in themselves. Because then what it does is it puts it, depending on how you look at it, either puts a new burden on you as a seller or creates a new opportunity for you as a seller. But one way or another, if you start to rewire, rethink your vision of how you engage with customers to solve for not their perception of you, but their perception of selves, it opens up this entire new way of thinking about customer engagement. Right, in terms of how can I help customers by taking something that's big and hard and overwhelming and complex, whether it's decision complexity or overwhelming amounts of information, or just struggling to align on objectives with their colleagues, or kind of settling on, or, becoming more decreasing uncertainty around potential outcomes of complex solutions. These are some of the dimensions of uncertainty we talk about in the book. And the question becomes, how can I interact with customers in such a way that my interaction can take something big, hard, frustrating, scary, overwhelming, these big forces that undermine confidence, and just help customers wrangle them, right? Help them feel more manageable. Take something that's hard and complex and put a frame around it such that the decisions inside that frame become much more manageable, where customers themselves feel like, I can do this. I understand what's important now. I've got a better sense for which questions matter. I've got a better sense for which criteria I'm going to consider. I've got a better sense for the path that we're going to follow to make this decision actually happen. But now I can do it. It's such a different way to think about your role as a seller, which is solving for the way customers feel about themselves by helping them take something that's hard, make it easier, while doing it such a way that they feel more in control as opposed to less. Let's do this. There's a one big thought we talk about. We call this sort of selling the big picture. So let's let's put a big picture up on the screen, and because one of the things I think is interesting is to take this idea of frame making and put it in its historical context of where we are today in relative to where we've been over the last, say, 30 years or so. Carl, I've been thinking about this a lot as I'm not getting younger. I'm now 56 years old, and at some point, like the history of my life becomes the history of the profession is kind of sad. That means I've been doing this for a while, right? But if I think across the last 30 years or so of sales, B2B sales, you can track a pretty clear sort of set of shifts through a set of eras. The first one being sort of product selling goes way back, for the beginning of sales, right? So we're all trying to differentiate ourselves on the features, the benefits, the speeds, the feeds of our products. We're out there trying to help our customers understand why our product is better than our competitors' product. Somewhere around the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a pretty significant shift as with entrants from overseas, from fast followers. It became much easier for companies to replicate individual products, and as a result, those products began to become commoditized pretty rapidly. So a lot of companies starting in the late 90s, early 2000s began to shift from sort of individual product selling to solution selling, right? So we're going to change what we sell. We're not just going to sell products. We're going to sell solutions to solve customers' bigger problems, and we're going to add on services and wraparounds. And we're going to go out on an M&A binge fest and just buy a whole bunch of companies. Now sell what's called the continuum. I've heard of different companies where 1+1 = 3. And we spent a lot of our time at CB writing a huge amount of research around how to do solution selling better. Somewhere around 2007, 2008, 2009, what we found is a lot of companies had spent a huge amount of time, money, and effort building out a solution selling strategy, began to realize that their competitors had done the same thing. So now, while it was hard to differentiate ourselves on products, now it became hard to differentiate ourselves on solutions, right? And so the window of opportunity to differentiate oneself on solutions was also closing, and right about the times when we wrote and produced the Challenger work. And shortly thereafter, a couple of years after that, 2013, 14, thought leadership, content marketing, marketing automation became a big deal. And we all kind of shifted from we're going to compete not so much, or we're going to differentiate ourselves not on what we sell, but how we sell, right? We're going to differentiate ourselves through how we talk to the market and the insight we deliver. And something we've unpacked before in Sense Making for Sales, which is an article in HBR, and we go into a lot of detail in the book, is why the window for differentiation on that approach is also beginning to close, right? So that we're all saying really, really smart things. We call it the smartness arms race. And we live in a world now where customers are, just overwhelmed with really smart thought leadership. So at the point where it's like everybody's saying smart stuff and I'm just more confused than ever before. And if we're really thinking about sort of how we compete going forward in this world where customers are now overwhelmed, not just with too much information, with decision complexity, the shift that we need to think about now is not so much what we sell or how we sell, but how we help. And it really speaks to this era, moving from product selling to solution selling to insight selling to something we're going to call guided buying. And guided buying is how do I guide my customers through that purchase process? And we think the best toolkit to do that is this concept called frame making that we wrote the book about. So that was a lot. I mean, I've done that in an hour-long keynote. I think I just did it in 4 minutes, Carl. But that's literally the journey I've personally been on. You've been part of that for the last, when I joined CB, we were just at that first, from shift from product to solution selling, and I've watched this whole thing unfold for 30 years now. And I just feel like it's the right book for the right time because it's going to take us through the next probably 5 to 10 years of maximizing our opportunity to differentiate ourselves as companies and sellers in the marketplace.
Absolutely. And having talked to so many commercial leaders over the years, you see different companies and different industries at different points on this curve,
Oh,
right?
100%.
So,
Yeah.
if you've just invented a new category, right, well, you're going to still be in that world where you have a quite differentiated product or differentiated solution. So you're going to be at that high level of opportunity for differentiation, right? And so how this curve plays out in a given industry, of course, will have a different timeline, different shape of the curve, et cetera. But at the core, as competitors enter and as they catch up, and as they try and replicate what made you great and different in the first place, that's where we see these curves just be honestly really shockingly steep. And
Yeah,
again, your mileage will vary, no question. But as we think about what's happened for product solution and insight, that's where there is a lifespan of these things, because what
yeah,
we're talking about are things that others can replicate, and as they replicate them, then the opportunity for them to be truly a differentiator, to lead to a customer seeing you as truly different and more valuable, that erodes over time, and the question is what to do as it erodes.
yeah.
And that's where we see frame making as the really the next frontier.
Just in case it wasn't clear, that y-axis in that small print is the incremental opportunity for differentiation. So it's not that the value decreases; this is your opportunity to stand out, to appear
Yeah.
different in the eyes of your customer. That's the thing that gets smaller pretty rapidly. We find over the course of say 5 to 10 years, and so we're all constantly we're chasing differentiation. That's actually the name of this part of the chapter when we discuss this in chapter 10 is the chase. As we continue to chase opportunities for differentiation, we think the next best place to go is in fact this idea of guided buying, specifically with frame making. If you were to ask me, all right, how long does that window last, the answer is I don't know. That's literally the question, Carl, that we got when we rolled out challengers. Like, great, so I'm supposed to be a challenger now, how long is that going to last before everyone's a challenger? Well, we're 12, 15 years down the road, and I think we could definitively say not everyone's a challenger. That window of opportunity to differentiate there is still open, but is not nearly as large as this opportunity that we see today with frame making, just given how customers are buying. So more on that soon. And we'll try to do a series of these. Ask your questions in the comments. Let us know your thoughts, your reactions. All of this is laid out in excruciatingly detail. Excruciating detail is a lot of detail. It was
I think it was
excruciating to put on paper.
excruciating for us to
To write.
write it. Hopefully, it's
Exactly.
not as excruciating for people to read.
Oh God, I
I
hope
hope
not. That
so.
would be so sad. There's story after story. There's examples. There's even a couple jokes sprinkled throughout. Our editor took out a couple, and we love her for it. But there's still a few in there. So keep an eye out. Well, as soon as pre-orders are available, I'll let you know. In the meantime, if you'd like to get this work in front of your team, we're already having some amazing conversations. And this is I think for all of us is a go big or go home. This is the time to change the way we sell to align to the way customers buy. Any last thoughts, Carl, for this time around? Otherwise, we'll pick one up again next
Yeah,
time.
just one last slide is, and it's I think the reason why we both decided to write this, all joking aside, is we saw
Yeah,
an opportunity to really help not only the sales profession, because I think this really is an opportunity to fundamentally change how, just the mindset, as you mentioned earlier, and that'll almost certainly be our next episode, is getting deeper in that. But how we help customers buy, and that's the piece that in my many years in consulting, I saw so often customers just struggle so much just to get over the hump to buy
yeah,
that ambitious thing that really could change the trajectory of their organization. And so the opportunity to help not only sellers sell, but buyers buy is why we got into this in the first place. So I think
100%.
hopefully this hits that mark.
Totally agree. Awesome. Okay, until next time, let us know your questions, your thoughts, your reactions, and reach out if you'd like to get this in front of your team. And as soon as pre-orders are available, we'll let you know. And in the meantime, we're going to go write the acknowledgments. There's a lot of people to acknowledge. So cheers, everybody. Be well.